So, do you think their names should be out there?
I do, definitely, yes. What if we're living next door to them in the future?
But you wouldn't. But Becky, you wouldn't know that because it would be almost guaranteed that as soon as they were released from prison, they'll be given new identities.
And
so you would have.
And I don't think they should really, because they're putting with other children. They've already done 4 victims now. What if they're released in 5, 6 years, and they're going to kill?
So Becky, do you want them to be named and shamed, no new identities, and you want to see them being chased down the street by a group of vigilantes because something else has happened in the neighbourhood that someone else has done, but people think because it's them, because of their previous, it must be them that did it? Is that what we want?
We're about to do it with paedophiles, aren't we, with Sarah's Law?
Well, yes.
But it hasn't, and you're right, to a certain extent, it hasn't ended up doing that, but you're supposed to keep that information, aren't you?
Yes, it's much more controlled.
It's very, very controlled.
They done the crime, horrific crimes, what even some adults wouldn't even dream of doing.
But it was adults that turned those children into that, wasn't it, Becky?
You are sorry?
It was adults, Becky, that turned those children into...
Partly.
Partly, Becky? Well, partly, I suppose, but, you've read the reports, Becky, of how those parents brought up their children. Are you a parent, Becky?
I am.
Yeah. Would you dream in a million years of doing anything like that to your children?
No, I wouldn't.
Well,
no.
They were brought up to be monsters. They were.
But also, I say, which I've always said before Jamie Bulger, partly they are born evil.
Oh, yeah.
I really do believe a lot of people are born evil.
I do find it. I would imagine that most children brought up in the way that they were brought up would end up doing no good because they weren't really brought up.
If you're born evil, then those kids should come from any kind of background, any kind of family. If you are implicitly evil, which is a ridiculous statement, I'm afraid to tell you, then those kids would come from any background. But they all come from backgrounds where they've got broken homes, where they're not treated like children. These are 10-year-old kids, and you want to imprison them for lives and make them. It's ridiculous.
Evil children? You can't blame the parents for them when they're good parents.
No, but it's...
all parents are the same bush when their kids do crimes.
There does seem to be a pattern, though. Bad parenting leads to children that run awry. I mean, Bulger's killers, exactly the same thing, shown video nasties from barely the time they could actually speak. Thank you, Becky. Let's have a...
we have Claire next on line 2.
Claire, good morning.
Good morning.
Named and shamed?
There's no point. There is absolutely no point because, as you said, when they come out, they'll be given new identities. So what is the point of...
That we pay for.
That we pay for, but what is the point of stirring up the local community that's just going to cause problems in the community?
I would imagine up in Edlington that they probably all know who is responsible. It's a small community anyway.
So they won't be there.
So
from this moment, they won't live there.
So what is
we will never know. There's
if you look at the aftermath of the Bulger case, it's just no point. I mean, I agree with the panel that the parents should be given some sort of punishment or be dealt with. Because
and the other children should be helped.
Like that.
Do you know what it is, Claire, isn't it? Is that after the Jamie Bulger thing, there was this feeling that we needed to see the face of evil, that we needed to identify.
That's exactly what the judge said. We needed to understand.
But the problem is, when you see the face of evil, they're just two boys. They're just two little boys. They're just like any of us. That's what it is. They haven't got horns and they're not red. They are just kids.
And apparently they have responded well to treatment. That's what we're told.
There's still a part of me which thinks, the mean part of me, which thinks, well, great for them.
Yes.
How does that help James Bulger's family?
You're absolutely right.
More money and care spent on them now than the average child from the street they lived in. Yeah.
One does not undermine the other thing, though, does it? You know, if you think, OK, the killers of Jamie Bulger are having a life for themselves, that doesn't mean you don't care about Jamie Bulger's family, does it?
No, I was in favour of them being named at the time because I thought, almost as a principle of justice, we needed to know. I certainly have come around to the view that it's done nobody any good whatsoever. And it's interesting that Claire, and it seems like a lot of you, as Kirsty is saying, are feeling the same way. Thank you. Let's take a few
On line
more.
3 next, we have Peter.
Peter, good morning.
Good morning.
Naming and shaming, Peter?
Definitely.
Well, what good would come from it?
Good that it might do is that it might deter other people. I mean, so you're letting the mothers and fathers go free, and they should be named and shamed. I mean, so they put them kids through hell. All right, fair enough. But them kids didn't do it on mum and dad's orders. They've done it on their own. The mums and dads should be named and shamed, and they should be ostracised. They should be.
But you're saying we might learn something from it, Peter.
Well, never mind, learn something from it. You put paedophiles on the list. These people are child abusers. They should be put on the list. They are child abusers.
But Peter, they are children. Paedophiles are adults that make a decision. Oh, the parents should be put on the list.
That's a very interesting point, because they are child abusers.
They are indeed, but of course if you do that then you will ultimately identify who the children are. I mean, you can put a banning order on, but word will go round on the internet.
Please tell me that other children aren't still with those parents. We don't know. That's the problem.
I believe
Please tell me that family isn't still together.
I believe the kids were taken, I think they were taken into foster care, because there's a story in the papers today saying that mum got a £53,000 inheritance and is going to move for a new life in a caravan without her children.
Well, she shouldn't be. She should be in jail.
Well, certainly some strong feelings coming through about that. Peter, thank you for the call. Let's have another.
We have Christine on line 5.
Christine, good morning.
Good morning, Matthew.
Would you be in favour of naming and shaming?
Definitely not. Punishment should be a lesson to be learned rather than revenge. Revenge achieves nothing. And what you've got to realise is that children view each other differently. Before puberty, they view each other differently to after puberty. You have to go through puberty to acquire the feeling of protection towards little children. Now, with the Bulger boys, if they've had the right training and the corrective training that they need, as they get older, they have then got to view and look back at the terrible things they did as children. They've got to live with that. Yeah. And just imagine, had that corrective training done its job, when they first hold their own newborn child and they've got to look back at what they did to somebody else's little one, that's got to be awful. To live with that has got to be horrendous. And I'm willing to bet
Christine,
that if the corrective training works, they could well go into depression and suicide.
Well, I mean, the idea is to rehabilitate these people back into society, as well as there's an element of punishment there. I think if they come from such terrible backgrounds, to be put in one of these secure centres must actually be, in many ways, is probably an improvement. The trouble is we don't know how they progress through prison or through a secure centre, and which comes back round to Anne's point, which would be novel. There's some kind of progress report.
Well, I think we
subjective
deserve it.
Though they might be.
I mean, we're told, you know, Mary Bell, the killer, the child killer, we're told that she now lives under a different name somewhere, has children of her own, knows what she's done, is completely rehabilitated, and lives next door to somebody.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that the 2 children who had to go through that torture, that the equal amount of time, money is spent on them to make sure that they are, you know, because they went through just the most. God knows how they'll ever
recover.
No. OK, let's leave that one there. After the break, should schools teach children the dangers of pornography? As a